Live on StreamYard, YouTube ought to be alerting in a second. Okay, there we go. All right, Shalom, Shalom.
Shalom.
We want to start off by giving our praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rahahakwarash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders at Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the Akim teaching about the Mayam Wa'amat. That's a sincerity and truth. Got the brother Anah here with me from Great Millstone, Atlanta. And, I'm Yatazak from Great Millstone, Dallas. And the Lord allowed us another opportunity to continue the series as we get closer to the end of the second book of Esdras and Apocrypha. And we go into this chapter a lot, you know what I'm saying, when we out on the highways and the byways. But in a sit down session, uh, you get to see the full uh, spirit of the chapter. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But you can go ahead and open up whenever you're
Yeah,
ready.
yeah, Khan. Yep. Like the elder said, man, that's the point of these lessons is so that way we can get the understanding, that the Lord wants us to get from these scriptures. So this is Second Ezra 15. Okay, and if this is like one of the first videos that you've listened to in this series, we've covered the whole chapter, the whole book up until this point. And throughout the whole book, it's been a bunch of prophecies that Ezra, all right, has basically been, gifted with. All right, he got the breakdown from the angel of the Lord. All right, so this is the last, uh, basically part of the book. All right, after he had those men basically write, what is it, like 70 books, you
Mm.
know, within 40 days, right? When you read the previous chapter. So, the understanding, that the Spirit of the Lord was heavy on him, of course, throughout the whole book. But, this is kind of like the finale, if you will, which is why there's so much end time prophecy in this book. So here in verse 1, it says, "Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai." All right, so that's why we say that the mouth of the Lord, all right, is his prophets, okay? Because we're not speaking our own words, we're speaking the words of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, okay?
So
And
anybody that tells you, I'll say anybody tell you God spoke to them directly, you know that they out of pocket because that's not the way it's set up. You know what I'm saying? According to the scriptures, you have to go through Yahweh Shai to get to Yahweh. So when people say God said this and God said that, you know what I'm saying? It's usually followed by some madness. You know what I'm saying? So when the Lord say speaking to my people, he say, when you talk to the Israelites, you tell them what the prophecy is saying. That's all I need you to do. And whether they want to hear it or not, that's all I need you to do. You got it.
yeah, I'll get this precept we get often. Isaiah 8 and verse 20, it says, "To the law and to the testimony," all right, which is, the law. We know what the law is, where it's located, okay, the Torah, if you will. All right. And then the testimony, which is the prophecies, right? If they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. So it has to be according to the law and to the testimony of Yahweh Shai, which is the spirit of prophecy. All right. In order for it to be considered, thus saith the Lord, as
Pull that word for light real quick.
okay. Let's get that real quick. The word for light should be a war. Let's see. Shachar. Okay, I've seen that before. Shachar. Okay. Morning or dawn. Okay. Let's see. A dawn as in a figure. It can be literal, but it can also be figurative. Um, okay. Early, light, morning. Let me see if there's anything that mentions Isaiah 8 off the top. Oh, here we go. All right, it says Isaiah 8 and 20. is obscure. But the point is made though with of dawn, there's not a speck of light in them. You know what I mean? So that's how I look at it.
Going to the
You
root.
know, the root word is shachar, which means to seek. As a verb, it means to seek early, earnestly, look diligently for. Okay, yeah, because they don't seek out. What's that scripture? The Most High, the Lord is not in all of His thoughts. You
Yeah.
know, if the Lord's not in your thoughts, you're not going to be walking according to the law and the testimony of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. So, what's this one here? Yeah, in Proverbs 1:28, where it says, "They shall seek me early." Seeking for what? Ultimately, that light.
When you seeking the Lord, you got to go to the scriptures and the prophets and the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? So if you're not seeking after the Lord in truth and sincerity, what's that? Matthew 6. It says, if your eyes not single, how great is that darkness that's in you? You got it.
God. Yeah, Matthew 6:23.
Yeah, if you feel with darkness, it ain't no light in you. Why? Because
Yeah.
you ain't speaking the truth.
God. That's right. All right, so that was it on that word and that precept. In Isaiah 8:20, let's go back to 2nd Esdras chapter 15 and verse 2. It says, "And cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true." Okay, again, that's part of our culture, is to write things down. Okay, writing it
Man
down.
wrote that Bible. Man tampered with that Bible. Okay, that's what I'm saying. You don't gotta believe it.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
That's totally fine.
To the unbelieving, is nothing is pure. So yeah, if you don't believe that that the Lord could preserve His word in the earth, then what could you really possibly deem as untainted, right? If you don't think that even the Lord who made the heavens and the earth could preserve something, all right, preserve His words in the earth. So that's on you if you don't believe, right?
Exactly.
But it says in verse 3, "Fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them, all right, trouble thee that speak against thee."
You see how the scriptures back us up with everything we say? It say cause it to be written in paper, so that because the words are faithful and true. But then people cop out because they want to blame man why they don't listen to what the Lord got to say. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you see people doing in that word incredulity, just like the brother about to pull up. You know what I'm saying? The Lord say, look, I got you. Don't worry about them. All I need you to do is one thing. I need you to go out there and tell them what's coming, whether they want to hear it or not. That's all I need you to do. And when you do that, I got you. I'm going to surround you with angels. You already understand death. So that's what I'm saying. I need you to do one thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, Con. Yeah. So yeah, when you look up this word incredulity, it says it is the state of disbelief, doubt, okay, or an unwillingness to accept that something is true. Yeah.
You see that?
Again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not willing to accept that it's true. That's why they still try to keep on coming up to the Israelites, trying to get their pulse on it. They hoping they can get one Israelite group to say, "Nah, you good," but it is what it is because they're gonna get cooked with you. You got it.
Yep. It says it is a noun describing the reaction of shock or skepticism toward a claim, often characterized. See, and this really is the reaction that 99% of people get if they actually were paying attention to to the words that the men of the Lord are speaking out there on the highways and byways, because the only people that actually listen to these whole videos are the believers, unless you got some overtime scoffers, but majority is is believers, unless it's like a viral video or something. But The point is their reaction of shock or skepticism, all right, towards basically what the words of the Lord are, because that's all we're doing is we're reading out the Bible, all right. That's causing them to basically become what's the word? Condemn, man. Okay, because they're not hearkening unto the words of Yahweh Shem Yahshua. It says often characterized by an inability inability to believe what one is hearing or seeing, frequently described hold on, frequently described as open-mouthed. Damn.
That's just like when people when people see Jake cussing, so-called cussing with the Bible. You know what I'm saying? But then what Paul say? Am I become your enemy because I tell you the truth? I might be rude in speech, but I'm not rude in knowledge. You know what I'm saying? The only reason I called you a dumb bastard is because you in front of me being a dumb fucking bastard.
Right.
So just cause, that's what I'm saying. Just because you don't believe it, it don't mean it's not the truth. Because when we hear your interpretation of the scriptures, we be the same way. Is this nigga serious? The heathen can make it. Yeah, we shocked and appalled when you say your shit.
Yeah.
You got it.
All right. It says, without into that word, let's go back to the scripture here. Right. It says verse 3, 2 Ezra 15, fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee. You know, because that's what people try to do. They try to discredit what you say, you know, and it's basically like peer pressure. That's why a lot of individuals, you know, they're worried about what their family is going to think or what their boss is going to think if they see them. They don't want to have to go through that incredulity, all right, of the masses, all right, and the imaginations of the masses, because it is a level of suffering that, you know, tribulation you got to go through, but that's just part of the walk, okay? Because they are going to speak against you, as it says here, right? It says in verse 4, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness.
So that lets you know that the Lord's not going to deliver everybody. Right. He's not going to save everybody. You know what I'm saying? So if the unfaithful, you got atheists out there, you got 2/3, you got the heathen, you got all these things going on, but a so-called Christian to tell you that God loved everybody. When you got people that are cut on their camera and tell you how much they hate God.
Right.
But he's supposed to save them too? No, it don't work like that. You think you want to say God love everybody because you know that you wicked your damn self and you don't want to die alone. But it is what it is. No, that's what I'm saying. The Lord is going to deliver more people. The Lord is going to kill more people that's going to get delivered, period. And the reason why the Lord is going to clean the planet up the way he's going to clean the planet up is to get rid of wickedness.
That's right.
So with billions of people on the planet, with all these billions of people on the planet, exclude the elect, because those are the only ones that's going to make it, man. And those that don't get destroyed are going straight into slavery. So now your destruction is slow. You got it.
Okay. I'm going to get this real quick. Hey, all right. I'm going to get this real quick. Precept. Ezekiel 22:17, it says, and the word of Yahweh Shem Yahushai came unto me, saying, Son of man, the house of Israel is to me become dross. All right, which dross is the undesirables. Okay, you know, amongst the precious metal when it's mined, you know, gold and silver when it's mined, it's not just pure block of pure silver or pure gold. No, it has to be purified. That's the dross, all right? The dross is the undesirables, the lesser valuable metals and things within the clump, okay, of raw ore. Okay, it says they are all brass and tin and iron and lead in the midst of the furnace. They are even the dross of silver. So the dross of silver is something that is worth less than silver. Okay, and same thing with gold, right? silver is second to gold, but the dross of silver, when you get that word dross, sayag, okay. Let's see. It says here, the root word is sawag in the sense of refuse. Okay, as you can see here, refuse, which is, undesirables. Okay, that which is to be moved away or removed. Okay, now continuing on in verse 18, I'm sorry, verse 19. Therefore, thus said the Lord Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, because ye are all become dross, behold, therefore I will gather you into the midst of Jerusalem. Okay, as they gather silver and brass and iron and lead and tin into the midst of the furnace to blow the fire upon it, to melt it, so will I gather you in mine anger and in my fury, and I will leave you there and melt you. Right? Because we talk about the
That's what I
2/3.
said. Zechariah 13:8. You know what I'm saying? They talk about the Israel being put through the fire, and 2/3, you know what I'm saying, is that dross. The 1/3 that's gonna come through the fire. That's what I'm saying. To come through the fire, that means you wasn't the dross. The dross got
Exactly.
burnt off, so the finished product comes out on the other side. You know.
Mm-hmm. That's right. All right, let's see. So that's pretty much it. You can read more, but that's the point of it, right? Going back to second Esdras. Um, all right, 15 and verse 5, it says, Behold, said the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, okay, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. All right. So these are the main common things that you're gonna see during World War III. Okay, and leading up to and during Jacob's trouble. Okay. The sword, the modern day sword is the gun, famine, which is pestilence. They're talking about the H virus, you know, death, you know what I mean? Random people, how many in the chat brothers today were talking about how different NBA dudes dropping dead. I saw some shit. Watermelon sales have dropped 30% because some random couple died from eating watermelon. Just random stuff happened and people dropping dead. Okay, and then destruction, of course, wars going on in the earth. So it's only going to continue to ramp up. All right, those are plagues. It's not, just happenstance that all these, horrible things are going on in the earth. All right, that's all by ultimately the design of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, the Father of spirits. Okay, now verse 6. All right, it says, "For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled." Okay.
Right? That was the earth was given into the hand of the wicked. Now their time is coming to a close. You got it.
Yep. That's it. They have a finite amount of time. That's not, I mean, it's not
What's
a
that precept to
foreign
say he can't
concept.
go no further than he's supposed to?
Yeah, that's in Job 14. I'll get that real quick. Bounds are set that he cannot pass. I think it's Job. Let me see. Yeah, 14 and 5. Here we go. Job 14 and 5. It says, seeing his days are determined, okay, predetermined. All right. The number of his months are with thee. All right, the Most High counting his months. Okay. Thou hast appointed his bounds. What's a bound? When you bound in chains, okay, or you have boundaries, you're within or what they say, out of bounds, right? So he's within the finite control of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. It says, thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Is that the one you wanted, Quan?
Yep, that was it.
Yeah. All right. Going back here to did I finish Ezekiel? Yeah, I did finish Ezekiel 22. What are we doing here? Oh, okay. Let's go back here. All right, second Ezra 15. And I read verse 6. All right, hurtful works are fulfilled. Verse 7. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit. Okay. To profane means like you like basically making the name of the Lord, you're defaming the name of the Lord. You're bringing disgrace to the name of the Lord. All right. I'm gonna get that word profanely real quick. Oops. Profanely. Uh-oh, what I do? All right. It says profanely is an adverb that describes doing something in an irreverent, disrespectful, or vulgar manner. All right. It typically involves showing a total lack of respect for sacred things. Okay. So that's really what these other nations they live by, disrespecting the things of Yahweh Shem Shai. Remember during the book of First Samuel when the Philistines took the Ark of the Covenant and they were parading it around, put it in the house of Dagon, that's like a normal thing to them, right? That's just how they operate. Esau's even worse, right? It says neither, let me go back to the main deal. Okay, neither will I suffer them in those things which they wickedly exercise themselves. Okay, behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. In Revelation, what is that? Revelation 6. We'll pull that real quick. Let's talk about that. Revelation 6, those that were slain, crying out to the Lord.
Same thing happened with Abel. You know what I'm saying? His blood cried out, "Hey, my brother killed me." You know what I'm saying? Cain killed Abel, just like Esau want to kill Jacob, but it ain't gonna work this time, man.
See, yes, sir, that's right. So let's see here. Verse 6, I'm sorry, Revelation chapter 6, verse 9, it says, and when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of Yahweh Shem Yahushai and the testimony which they held. Okay. And they cried, and what's that testimony? That prophecy. Okay. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, how long, O Lord, holy and true, doest thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? You see that? So again, the souls of the just are continually complaining to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Okay. Okay. So that's ultimately what we're doing here on the earth. Because even when you read the next verse, we don't read this a lot or as often as verse 10, but I'll read it. It says, and white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. So there's a set amount of martyrs that are set, to be martyrs for Yahushua. Okay. And a lot of that has happened already. Of course, as the years have gone by, there's been many martyrs, all right, for the testimony of Yahushua. All right, but there's even going to be during these times, there's still going to be some more of that going on. Okay, ultimately until the will of the Lord is fulfilled. Okay, now that's what our job is to do, continually complain. All right, so it says in verse 9, 2 Esdras 15, verse 9, and therefore saith the Lord, I will surely avenge them and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. So whether you got martyred back then, 2,000 years ago, all right, or whether you got martyred during the time of Jacob's trouble in these times, okay, your blood is going to be avenged. That's why the scriptures say you want to suffer. Happy are ye if you suffer for righteousness' sake. All right. It says in verse 10, behold, my people is led. Actually, let me double check and make sure I'm not passing these up. I had these precepts here. I had two Okay. All right. I'll get this continuing on here. In verse 10, behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. Okay. And again, this is, modern day Sodom and Egypt, right? Is talking about Babylon the Great. Okay. And so the Lord, He's going to deliver us from this land, man. All right. It says, but I will bring them with a mighty hand, because think about it. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. Let's just think about this real quick. Slow down a little bit. Israel, by and large, all right, was not in Egypt at this time that this was said. Okay. They were in uh the captivity of the Medes, man, the Persians and the Medes. Okay, they were under their jurisdiction, I should say. They were not over there in Egypt like that. So this is talking about prophecy, okay, in the future. All right, because remember, Egypt in itself, literally, Matazarium, which is the Hebrew word for Egypt, means double straits. Okay, so anywhere where Israel is being oppressed, pretty much, is compared to Egypt, and in these times, that's what this is. Babylon the Great it fits that to a T. It says, "But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues." Okay, so again, Babylon the Great, okay, is gonna get smitten, man. All right, just like how Egypt was smitten back during the time of Exodus, right? This place is going to get smitten, man. It says, as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. Okay, check that out. All of the, destruction is going to go on here, and Babylon the Great is going to cause for civilization to cease over here, man. All right, and this kingdom is going to be completely destroyed. All right, it says verse 12, and you can read about this. You can read about this in Revelation 18, but in this verse here, don't need to get it, but just quoting it. It says, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and the punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. And, it's funny, every time I think about Revelation 18, a lot of times I think about when Vocab Malone uh, um, came up to the camp. I don't know however many years ago that was, talking about America has nothing to do with Revelation 18. Like, bro, it's literally the whole chapter is going into America. Okay. So and that's another thing. You read in this chapter, if you don't believe that America is um addressed, right? Like this kingdom that existed or that came to be after the books of the Bible were written. If you don't think that America is addressed at all right, in the scriptures, then nothing that we're saying in this lesson is going to make sense. Okay, you got to already be on a certain level of understanding, like uh, no way around it, because you have a lot of Christian anti-Messiah Christian scholars that they don't want to believe that America is written about in the Bible. They don't, like, as far as being Babylon the Great, or as far as being compared to Egypt and things like that, being slated for destruction. They don't want to acknowledge that. Okay, so you got to come out of that spirit, or that the world puts on you, and understand that yes, Babylon the Great, America, they're synonymous. The mother of harlots, all of that. Okay.
Yep.
And
Let
so it
not
says,
their incredulity,
mhm,
yeah, let not their incredulity have a bitch ass thing to do with what you got going on.
right. That's right. So, uh, and again, it's gonna be more people coming up again, but the Lord's building up our faith, but you better pray that you in that category. That's what we're all praying, that we're in the category of the Lord building our faith up, all right, so that we can pass the test, all right, because that last uh test hasn't come. Like a lot of school this week or last week or next week, like they taking finals, you know what I mean, or they already might have took their finals already, like that last big test. If you don't pass this test, you can't go to the next grade. Well, yeah, the big test is coming, which is Jacob's trouble.
Yeah, but it's
Okay,
gonna
it's
be
coming.
big red. It's gonna be big red X's all over their paper.
Facts. Yeah, yeah. It ain't gonna be no. Oh, you gotta you got a 75. Okay, you pass, or no. It's either gonna be life or death. That's how you know you passed. You didn't get put to death. You know.
That's right.
So continue on verse 13. It says, "They that till the ground," and now this really this whole first part right here is going into America's downfall. You know what I mean? Babylon the Great, starting with them, and then because Babylon the Great is the whore pursuing Revelation, the 17th chapter, the whore that rides on the beast is Babylon the Great. AKA Babylon the Great is America. All right. So once America falls, then the rest of the global economy ultimately is going to crumble as well. But reading here, verse 13, it says, "And they that till the ground shall mourn, all right, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting and hail." Okay, on a small scale, we see, not when I say small, I'm not saying it's insignificant, but on a certain level, we see the cost of food going up. Okay, we see the scarcity of what's it called, fertilizer, right? Which the demand is the same, the supply goes down. So guess what happens to the price? Price goes up. Okay, so all these things are increasing pricing, and people having to make decisions. Now you got white women on crying on TikTok talking about, oh, my son, a box of cheeses is $5. I spent $100, and I only got four or five things. Right? It's only going to get worse. Okay. All right. It's only going to get worse. Right? They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail from the blasting and hail. Now imagine all that going on while the Lord is literally just destroying the crops. You know what I mean? The Lord ain't bringing no rain, or he, bringing natural disasters to just dust off all of the what they say is the breadbasket of America. What was it? Is it Nebraska? One of them central states up there, the breadbasket of America, where they got most of the land is just crops. The Lord just take all of that out. People are gonna be hurt, right? It says, "And with a fearful constellation." Okay, we saw what happened during the 2020 with the supply chain. Okay, collapse. Okay, the goods were there, but the supply chain was messed up. So I mean, a lot of stuff had to get thrown away. But imagine if there was just no goods at all, no food. You know what I mean? Us included. If we live in apartments, we ain't got no garden. Okay, so the Lord gonna have to be with us, right? So it says, woe to the world, and them that dwell therein, destruction." That's ultimately the only thing that can come out of it. All right, is the reason why that's happening. The reason why all those plagues fell on ancient Egypt was so the Lord could bring it down. Okay, all right. Reminds me of in Romans, what is that? Romans 9. "For this purpose have I raised thee up." Right. So this devil has been brought up, to think that he's untouchable, right? Just for him to get brought down low. Okay. I want to get this here real quick. Isaiah 14. We'll get right back to 2nd Esdras. Isaiah 14 and 11. It says, "Thy pomp is brought down to the grave." That pomp is that pride, those bragging rights of, yeah, we got the best military. I don't feel like impersonating Trump right now, but you know how that nigga talk. We got the best this and the best that. There's never been a better time to be an American than now. They're feeding you all this BS, and then they're leading you into a trick bag, man. Okay, but you're already in a trick bag if you believe that America has any chance of bouncing back. Okay, you're already in a trick bag. All right, it says, Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy viols, all the music and the entertainment, partying and BS, all that shit's going to be done away with. All right. It says the worm, all right, is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. You in the dirt. Okay. You a decomposing carcass. You know what I mean? You went from
Man,
rags, from riches to rags. Salaki, go ahead.
you got it.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's basically what's gonna happen, man. He's gonna go from riches to rags, man. Okay. Going back here, second, there's a 15. All right. It says verse 16. Hold on, I'm sorry. I think I skipped. Yeah, I skipped verse 15. It says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. Okay. Again, this is all for the destruction of this devil's kingdom, man. Okay. All of the things that he's committed in the earth, all right, he's gonna have to give account for. Okay. It's well, I know I quoted Revelation 18. I'll just get one scripture out of it. Okay. We quote it all the time. Actually, I think I misquoted a lot. I say sins stacked unto heaven, but I think it's sins are reached unto heaven. Let me just get it real quick. Yeah, Revelation 8 and 15. I'm sorry, 8 and 5. All right. It says, for her sins have reached unto heaven. Okay. And the Most High hath remembered her iniquities. So imagine how much wickedness you got to be doing for your sins to just be, you just polluting the whole earth. Well, that's the scripture. That's in, I believe it's in 1 John 5. The whole earth lieth in wickedness. And that was 2,000 years ago.
The Most High required that which is past, man. The Lord ain't letting nothing go. You know what I'm saying? You got people that think that. Also, you got people that think that just because they so-called give their life to Jesus, that they can just keep on doing what they want to do. Like, nah. That first of all, how the Lord gonna forget you did something when you never stopped?
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. You never stopped what you was doing. So this notion that you can just do whatever you want to because Jesus love you, like, nah, that wasn't the reason for that sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? First of all, it wasn't for everybody, and for who it was for you to get better, not get worse.
Yeah, when it talks about him being loose a little season, it's like a caged beast. Like he was always a devil, but as soon as he got loosed out of that cage again, okay, basically he started wreaking havoc on the earth again. So
Bro,
he can never.
that's just
Yeah,
how it is when people go to jail. When people go to prison, in prison they learn how to be a better criminal. That's why he was able to have the Renaissance. That's the way the Lord set it up. You know what I'm saying? Bro, anybody that go to prison, they always come out worse.
man. Yeah, no, that's true.
Better criminal, worse nigga.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of niggas go right back to prison.
Yeah.
They get put on what's it, parole?
Yep.
And that parole where you basically you don't have to serve the full sentence. They let you out after a first offense, but then if you during that time while you on parole, parole because
Yep.
parole
You're
and
gonna be
probation are
constantly
two
reporting.
different. Yeah, parole while you on,
Probation is just probation is not for prison. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Jail and probation go together. Prison and
gotcha,
parole go together. You know what I'm
right,
saying? When you get out of prison, you're gonna be on parole and you're gonna have to report. You know what I'm
yes,
saying? Now, same thing with jail, except it's a lower. You know
right,
what I'm saying? If you can complete your probation, they won't send you to the pen to
right,
where you'll have to be paroled. So it's levels to it.
yeah. Yeah, fine. But the thing is, this devil, as soon as he got out on parole, because he didn't never really get his full
Right.
judgment that he even deserved from the, being, the nation of Edom, Haman, the Agagite, that line, the Amalekites, the Grecian Empire, the Roman Empire. He didn't even get his judgment that he deserved from that yet.
Yeah,
Okay,
he on trial for all that right now, and we the
right.
witnesses.
That's right. And as soon as he got out on, we'll say on parole, he started going back crazy again. So imagine the judgment that's going to come down on his ass.
Yep.
You know.
So when he got out on parole, technology increased. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? So it's to the point now. Yeah, it's to the point now to where he done violated that parole.
Yep.
Now he got to go back in the cat. Now he got to go back.
That's
You
right.
know what I'm saying? You got it.
All right. Um, Let me see. I'm trying to remember where it was that I wanted to bring out the scripture here. Let me see. Okay, not yet, not yet. Um, All right. Let me see. I guess no, I didn't read the whole verse. Verse 15, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Okay. So obviously there's going to be wars going on between different countries, but even within, as it's going to say in the next verse, within, groups of people or nations themselves are going to be fighting. Is going to be insurrection, man. Okay, amongst the people against the government. Who's going to try to overthrow the government? Okay, they're going to stand up. Okay, and fight against each other. Race wars. You know what I mean? The tighter stuff gets economically, the more on edge these people get. Okay, and we love it. Hey, fuck it. $5 gallon of gas. Okay, bring it up to 10. Let's crash it. Okay. I mean, it's not going down unless I'm tripping. The gas been at $4 for like what, a month at least, right?
The squeeze is on. The
You
squeeze is on home.
know what I'm saying? I mean, it ain't gonna get, you know what I mean? And but the thing is, motherfuckers still out popping bottles. These women still proud. So it ain't
Yep.
even on full blast. The hellometer, the hell knob hasn't even been fully turned up yet.
Yeah, because you got to think about it. When you in a fight, that's what I'm saying. When you in a fight, say you got somebody in a submission hold. From the time you working on getting them in the submission to them actually tapping, it's a nice little chunk right there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So right
Yeah.
now, I would say, yeah, right now, people are in the hole. But it's
Yeah.
only a matter of time before they start tapping. And I'm gonna tell you like this: Satan don't care about you tapping. He gonna break that shit anyway.
Man, fact. That's true. That's true. Because the thing is, the Lord is gonna ignore you. And the Lord, if you're not sincere, okay, how about Shema Shah? He's not going to hear your prayers, man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we just quoted it. We ran across the scripture with Proverbs 1 and 27. In their affliction, they shall seek me early. Okay, when you catch them, when you got your arm behind that back and you know your nose all flared and shit. You know what I mean? He waits like, oh, okay, it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be too late,
Crack, crack.
right? You're gonna be through. Okay, and so in verse 16 it says, "For there shall be sedition among men." All right, a sedition. Again, like insurrection. Well, let me get that word sedition real quick. You know, we're not on the blue letter on the apocrypha, so we gotta just Google the words, but that's okay. Sedition definition. Sedition is the act of inciting through speech, writing, or organization, rebellion, insurrection, or violent resistance against lawful
Man.
lawful civil authority and government. Okay, it says it involves efforts to undermine or overthrow the state, which is distinct from treason, which is the actual act of betrayal. So people are going to be inciting it, okay? It's going to become part of culture. All right. People are going to be rioting in the streets, protesting, right, against the government, the civil authorities. That's what we're reading about here in the scriptures. And guess what? Okay, that's what people are going to be led to doing. Uh, uh, there's been a bunch of videos. A lot of white girls, see, they're so used to that easy life that any minor inconvenience they get on social media and they complain. But it was it's been so many videos out there, but one of them was like, I'm surprised people aren't taking to the streets. Guys, how are we not taking to the streets and basically uh rebelling against this, you know?
Oh yeah, I was saying it's about that time now because you already know once they come with whatever the next thing is that they come with, people gonna snap. You know what I'm saying? Bro, they already wilding out in their cars and doing all that. You know what I'm saying? So, bro, this Hunter virus and all this madness, all this stuff they talking about, man, I want to say people ain't look, man, the scriptures are correct 100%. We seeing the buildup of what's gonna make these people snap and go crazy. You know what I'm saying? Elder Yashawama say it all the time, bro. Since 2020, Esau been on one.
That's
Like
right.
this nigga haven't let up. You see, but at the same time, he know he has but a short time, and the Lord is speeding up the days for the elect's sake. You see, so those two things happening at the same time. Hey, either you understand what's going on or you don't. You got
That's
it.
right. That's right. That's right. Okay. Uh, in which we already read in Second Esdras 9, but we'll say it again. Okay. Basically, you had liberty. I'm paraphrasing it. You had liberty to get right with Yahweh Shem Yahushai. All right. But you despise the liberty. All right. And you're going to experience death. All right. And pain, man. Okay. You're gonna know the will of the Lord through death and pain, through the fact that you are getting your ass whooped. Okay. For what? For your lack of obedience. Okay. That's talking about, Israelites. All these other heathens, they don't got no choice. And even the heathen too, like let's say like a random Elamite, you might think, oh, where does a random Elamite, okay, that graduated from uh you know Georgia Tech, what does he have to do with why is he getting judged? Well, the majority of the heathen that's over here, they've adopted they've drunken of that cup. Okay, they've adopted Edomite supremacy, like ideologies, basically, if you will. You know, so they're all partakers of that too. So the most wicked of the heathen are here too. They're going to get judged too. All right. That's why you don't get along with, like, Ammonites and random ass Moabites. And they all look at you like you're just scum, but really they're filth. But they looking at you like you're lower than them. Well, that's because they're gonna get destroyed too, man. Okay. All right. So it says there shall be a sedition among men and invading one another. Motherfuckers gonna be running in each other's houses on some purge shit. You know, just what I mean. Like, hey, we're gonna take it. All right. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. There ain't gonna be no respect of persons. Oh, this person, he's worth this amount of money. He has this amount of followers. It ain't gonna be no followers. All right. It ain't gonna be no live what they call streamers. Okay. That's not gonna protect you in that day. Okay. Only thing that's gonna protect you is how Bashim Yahushua. Okay, because people are not gonna care. They're just gonna take. Okay, they're not playing, man. All right. It says they shall not regard their kings nor princes. They're gonna be putting their own, like, senators, these wicked Edomites, other random civilians. You might catch one of them in the street and just make an example out of them, right? It says in the course of their actions, all right, shall stand in their power. All right, they're going to take control, to a certain degree, okay, and destabilize, like uh, you know, like what's an example? Like Mexico, for example, they have like an infamous permanent war against the cartel, you know what I mean, and the Mexican government, supposedly. You know what I mean? But it's gonna be, you know, people standing up, rising up against their own nation, right? Verse 17, it says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Okay. What's that? Well, they were doing that. Like checkpoints. Basically you can't leave like certain area, you know, that Q word, you know the word I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where you can't leave your house, or you can't leave your you can't enter into a certain zone after a certain amount of time, curfew, right? That's all going to be reinstated, okay? And who knows what madness this devil has in store, all right, with this technology that he has. Because during these times, you got to think about it and understand and know the MOTB is going to be, you know, in effect. You know what I mean? People are going to be using that to determine who's going to be loyal to to them. You know what I mean, and who's not, right? Um, and just let me know when I need to stop. Upon I know we got 50 minutes in. I'm gonna keep going here.
We can get a couple more verses.
Okay, yeah, we go to verse 20. It says verse 18. It says, for because of their pride, all right, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid.
I would say because of pride. Pride come before destruction. You see?
Mhm.
I would say, look, the prophet, I would say the prophets, look, our job is just to report the news, report to you what's happening so you can have a shot at it. It ain't up to us whether you take heed to it or not. But it's saying because of pride, the city's gonna be troubled, the house is gonna be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Anybody telling you otherwise, they not a prophet. They a false prophet. You see?
That's right.
And they houses is gonna get ravaged too. They gonna get
Yep.
jacked up right along with you. Go ahead.
That's right. Yep. Talk about that in Zechariah 13. Okay. It says verse 19, it says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. Okay. Oh, yeah, of course. I think that's the one yep, here we go. Okay, I'll read that after I finish this. It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation.
Come on,
Okay,
man.
so if you're go ahead, you guys are Quan.
Great tribulation, lack of bread. That's what I'm saying. If you're not telling people that's coming, first of all, even if somebody haven't told you, you ought to be able to see it. Just in
Right.
your in people who ain't even in the truth in their daily life, they see it. What Alex
Mhm.
Jones say? Alex Jones say, shit, he'll eat somebody before he let his family starve.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat my neighbor.
You know what I'm saying? He said, don't get it twisted. I will eat you. Yeah,
I will
before I
eat
let
your
my
ass.
daughter starve, I will eat your ass. You got
He's
it.
for real about that shit.
It's a dead ass.
Yeah. You think a nigga that'll eat a raw liver will not eat some human flesh?
Man, look, I'm telling you,
You
I'm talking
know?
about nigga have your thumb, nigga have a lighter up under your thumb, just gnawing on that hoe.
Damn it, boy. The gristle, nigga be chewing the gristle and shit.
Yeah,
Crazy.
pick his teeth with your bones.
Mm-hmm. You see? And so with that being said, let me get this precept real quick. And I guess we can stop here. This is Matthew 24 and 12. All right. It says, and these are the words of Yahweh Shah. I don't know why it keeps undoing my red letter. But this is Revelation 20, I'm sorry, Matthew chapter 24, verse 12. It says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Okay. And that lets you know right there that we're in those times because iniquity is abounding. Okay. Iniquity is abounding on the highest level that there's ever been. Okay. You know, all you got to do is turn on the news, you know, turn on alternative media, or you just watch one of these YouTube pages that just complain about how the world is being ran, okay, from a geopolitical perspective with, like news articles and stuff to back it up. And you'll see like, dang, the world is in disarray. And the motherfuckers that actually have control, they don't care about the state of the earth or how the repercussions of their actions are going to affect the generations to come that are not of their direct bloodline. Okay, they want to keep the death and destruction and what is that, FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. They want to keep that going. Okay, they want to keep that going, man. Okay, so that's going to cause people. It's already happening, but it's going to cause more family members to turn on each other. All right, it's basically just demons hopping on people. All right, to commit judgment on each other, commit judgment on each other. Like what was that situation? Yeah, the sword of the Lord and of Gideon. There's some Judges. Where the Lord, was it the Philistines? What was it that the Lord went up, used Gideon to go up against them, and they ended up fighting against each other and killing each other.
Oh man.
I'm gonna pull up. I know it's like
Yeah.
Judges 8 or something, or maybe 7.
Yeah.
Uh
And there was a bunch of them dead too.
yeah, they all just killed each other. Like, here we go. Judges 7, 18, let me see, 19, confusion of the enemy. Here we go. All right, it says, so Gideon and the 100 men that were with him came, what did it say? Came unto the outside of the camp in the beginning of the watch, but they had but newly set the watch, and they blew the trumpet. So when you said they had but newly set the watch, like the watch back then, you have certain men stay awake during the nighttime because there was no street lights, it was black, you might have some torches or whatever. Stay awake, so in case some intruders came in, they could wake everybody up. Hey, it's intruders, everybody wake up, get ready. But that's I don't know if it was like 3 hours. I think it was like 3 hours or so, a set amount, a couple hours, right? And then okay, first watch is over, so that first group of men, they retire and then are replaced by a new group of men for that second watch. So during that period of the watch is changing, right? Meaning to say that they had but newly set the watch and they blew the trumpets. So it happened like in that kind of vulnerable moment of transition, right? So they blew the trumpets, boom. They broke the pitchers that were in their hands, right? And the three companies blew the trumpets. I think it was three companies of 100 men each, right? And they blew the trumpets. Here we go. And here we go. In verse 22 is the point. And the 300 men blew the trumpets, and the Lord set every man's sword against his fellow. You see that? So they started killing each other because they thought that the enemy was literally right there in the midst of the camp. So, and they couldn't see nothing. So the Lord, you see how cold he is? He could literally put that spirit, or it caused them to, our enemies to be confused, all right, at any moment. We just got to work, within his, his will. Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to bring out that example, but obviously this is a kind of lengthy chapter. So we got down to verse 19, but we got still probably gonna have to do 2 more lessons on the chapter. But did you have anything else, Aquan?
No, no, just Jake got to. Hey, the elect is focused.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody else got to catch up. So if you believe on Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, as the scripture has said, just keep on. Hey, keep on staying on point. Keep staying on point. Because at the end, and all this destruction that we telling you is coming, we at the same time we telling you deliverance is coming too. You know. So hey, with that, Lord willing, that was edifying. We want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakahak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders at Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the Akim teaching about the mind while mock. That's the sincerity and truth. Shalom.
Shalom.